Welcome to another episode of Leading Our Adventures, your Venturing BSA podcast. Thank you for joining. I'm your host, Hannah Todd, currently serving as the National Vice President of Program for the NVOA. Today, I'm thrilled to have a special guest who has had an incredible journey that he would like to share with us. We're going to dive into the world of scouting and explore National Advanced Youth Leadership Experience, or NAYLE. Please join me in welcoming Matthew. Thank you so much for being here. It's an honor to have you on the show. Would you like to kind of introduce yourself?
Of course. Thank you, Hannah. First off, I wanted to say thank you for allowing me to be here. It is an honor to be on here and share my experience about NAYLE. So my scouting journey started off when I was in Cub Scouts at a young age, like many others. Obviously, there wasn't much I didn't do without the help of my mom and other family members. After crossing over from Cub Scouts into Scouts, however, it was a game changer and it obviously came with some challenges. Along the way, I was able to develop friendships and establish relationships with my adult leaders, many who become mentors of mine. Because of those relationships, I was able to serve in various leadership roles and make a difference in my home troop, as well as eventually attaining the rank of Eagle Scout. After earning my Eagle Scout rank, I got involved with older youth programs, namely Sea Scouts, where I would go on to serve in leadership positions at the ship, council, territory, and national level. It was through these positions where I would argue to be the biggest differences because of my passion for event planning, coordinating with other units and councils, and being able to meet scouts and scouters across the Scouting America program.
Awesome. That's so cool. And somewhere in there you joined a crew, right?
Of course, yeah. So obviously being out of high school, there was a lot of things that I had to juggle around. So unfortunately, I had to take a step back from my older youth programs, both NC Scouts and Venture Scout because I'm in college.
Cool. But today you're here to tell us kind of what NAYLE has done for that college experience after you had that opportunity in the older youth programs.
Of course. Yeah.
Can you share with our listeners kind of what BSA NAYLE is and why it's significant within the Scouting America's venturing program?
Of course. Yeah. So for those who are watching and wondering what the heck NAYLE is, I first wanted to clarify it's not like an actual nail like you use with a hammer. NAYLE is what we refer to as National Advanced Youth Leadership Experience. It is one of the training programs across Scouting America. It offers to its youth participants. Not to be confused with the National Youth Leader Training, or NYLT, which is what I'm sure many of you have attended or at least heard of. NAYLE is one of the programs you can attend after NYLT, aside from NYLT Leadership Academy, where you can further your knowledge in leadership and also apply what you've learned from those programs and put it into practice through real simulated situations that you may find yourself in as a leader in and outside of scouting. NAYLE is what I like to consider the hidden gem of Scouting America because it is not a well-known program like the other training programs, but it's really a unique and fun experience for all who decide to attend. And
this kind of training is not done at the local level like NYLT is.
No.
Right?
It's at the national level. It's only offered at 2 places across Scouting America, which are the Summit Bechtel Reserve and Philmont Scout Ranch.
Very cool. What inspired you firstly? Because, I mean, Summit and Philmont are not really close. To go on this experience, and how has that impacted your personal growth and leadership skills?
Mm-hmm. So I was inspired to go to NAYLE through learning more about it during my time in older youth programs. Even though it's open to all youth participants, that's age 14 to 20, it's also open to Scouts, Venture Scouts, and Sea Scouts. To explain the impact NAYLE had on me in a short podcast wouldn't do it justice. If I had to summarize the impact it had on my personal growth as well as leadership skills, I would say this. As far as personal growth, NAYLE brought me out of my comfort zone and out of my shell and put me in a situation much like NYLT, where you're paired with other scouts you've never met, but this time scouts across the country, not just from your council. But you get paired with other scouts, and the amount of things you experience with them by the end makes you almost like a family. I still talk with a lot of those who participated in my NAYLE course, and that was almost 2 years ago now. As far as leadership skills are concerned, again, much like NYLT, you are put in various positions throughout your time at NAYLE. You will have the opportunity to lead your patrol, to contribute by being quartermaster, scribe, and other positions. Through that experience, because of the curriculum NAYLE has, you will be exposed to many situations, like I mentioned before, where you have to use what you've learned before and make decisions you may find yourself in. Because of that, I was able to figure out my strong suits and where I need to improve as a leader. Now, obviously, there's always room for improvement being a leader, but identifying where that is, it allows you to work on and get better at it.
I love it. I love it. I love hearing the impact it's having on you. I love our conversations that we've had and talking to other people who have attended NAYLE. I've never got to attend NAYLE, so that's why I'm like so excited to like share it with others of this is an opportunity. You should take it kind of thing.
You should have.
Oops. Well, I'll when I'm Scoutmaster or crew advisor or whatever the next path takes me, I will definitely suggest
There you go.
it to different people. What are some key components or activities involved with NAYLE that make it such a valuable experience? We were talking about your leadership skills, that those hands-on.
Mhm.
What in those are like the stuff I can find on the website. What additional like subject matter expert kind of situations can you tell me about?
Of course. So what makes the NAYLE such a valuable experience for venturers and all who participate, really, it's the uniqueness of the curriculum. For those who have attended NYLT, you know a lot of it's presentation-based. With NAYLE, yes, there are some presentations. However, you'll spend maybe about 10 to 15 minutes sitting in on a presentation, but the next hour following, it's about an hour and a half of applying what you've already known and just learn in the real situations. I don't want to get into the specifics because I don't want to spoil the experience for those who are interested, but I do promise there are countless scenarios and simulations you'll be a part of and will enjoy, regardless of what your interests are.
Yes, I like the no spoiler kind of thing, but I get goosebumps thinking about the experience that people could have from hearing about it before. And you're NAYLE set up kind of like a crew or an older youth scout program.
So it really varies. I know from my experience and other people's experiences, NAYLE tries to diversify the structure of it. So on some course weeks, you'll have a troop. Some weeks you'll have a ship. Some you'll have a crew. And you'll have the positions that equate to that. So obviously you have your patrol leader, and then you have the ranks under that, like the scribe, as I mentioned, quartermaster, and it will equate to those positions depending on what kind of week it is and what it's trying to shadow.
I see. That's really cool that it's adaptable enough to be able to have a purser, a treasurer, or whatever the crew and the group brings. Is that a youth decision that happens?
So as far as I'm aware, I think it's really up to the course director. However, just like NYLT, NAYLE is very much scout-led, which is what I love about both training programs. So I think the scouts do have somewhat of a say in it. But again, I think in order to make it as diverse as possible, they try to coordinate the other course weeks and make sure that 1 week they did ship, 1 week they did crew, etc.
Very cool. Very cool. What did you experience?
So what did I experience?
Or can you not tell me that?
Well, to an extent, I mean, I can tell you, but again, I don't want to ruin it for everybody that's watching who are interested in attending NAYLE. Okay. But to kind of give a summary, again, it's really scenario/simulated based.
Okay.
And, you know, everybody who attends NAYLE, it's clear that they have, they get a lot out of scouting. They have learned a lot from scouting, and it's clear that those who are there want to be there. And that makes the experience 10 times more enjoyable because you're spending 6-7 days with people across Scouting America's program who get together. They train together and they share all those fun experiences together. So I think that's my experience overall anyways, and I think that's what makes NAYLE part of a unique training program for Scouting America.
Definitely. And as someone, you've participated in it, we've talked about it, what would you say? There's people on the edge. What would you say to kind of encourage people to go? It's the middle of May. I looked today, there's a few more spots left on the website for the 2024 term. But it's something that happens every year. So if you're watching this in the future and are like, oh man, I missed out, they can still sign up. But what's your push?
So my push for those who are on the fence about participating either this year or a following year is I'll encourage everybody who's interested in a week-long leadership simulation-like experience to attend NAYLE. Like I've said, it's not your typical MYLT, and it's especially not like your typical unit introduction to leadership training. It truly is a unique experience, and it offers something for everybody, regardless of how long you've been in leadership positions, whether it's you're starting out or you've been in those kinds of positions for years, whether you've attended one leadership conference or 10, I promise you'll get something out of it. You'll hear me say again and again, it's a very unique program, and I don't think that you can compete with the curriculum that NAYLE offers its participants.
I love it. And then kind of going in, this might be a confidential, don't want to spoil it kind of question, but could you share any memorable moments, maybe a core memory that you learned from your time at NAYLE that has stayed with you, influenced your approach to leadership within venturing, other youth programs, maybe your life in college, maybe your school studies kind of thing? Is that something you can share?
Oh, that's a great question. Then definitely I can share something on that. So there are countless memories and moments and lessons from NAYLE that I still think back on today and use when I come across certain situations. If I had to choose one memory from, it's that things aren't always going to turn out as they plan. I say because while I was there one night during NAYLE, at least at the summit NAYLE, you have an outpost camp out. And for those who haven't been to West Virginia where there's rain, it pours. There is no light rain or sprinkling. It's either pouring or it's sunny. Anyways, the night we were supposed to go to the outpost, it poured and was very windy. The conditions were so bad that we had to cancel outpost, and we had to be evacuated back to our main base. It's what every scoutmaster fears of happening during a camp out. But I say that because as a leader, you're going to have situations where you have to make tough calls. 2, you have to consider the safety and well-being of the people under you. And 3, plans will 99% of the time not go as planned, at least in the way you expect it to. And if I had to choose one lesson from NAYLE, it would be that you shouldn't be the only one making decisions. You have to make decisions collectively as a group, whether that be a PLC, a quarter deck, a venturing officer association. You have to have people involved in the decisions that you make. And NAYLE will teach you that through the group-based scenarios where you are working together as a group to accomplish something, to overcome an obstacle, and you can't achieve those situations in simulations. You can't overcome them without making decisions together collectively as a group.
Do you know one thing? That weather does not sound like it was simulated.
No.
although that hazardous weather training coming in clutch there, with you guys knew exactly what to do. You just had to implement the plan, to my understanding, right?
Yeah, it's a well-planned program, and from my understanding, those who staff NAYLE, they've spent months and months of planning beforehand through Zoom calls and video conferences, and then they go a week beforehand before the participants arrive, and all the staff get together. They train for their presentations, they train for the scenarios, and they go over things such as the safety precautions that they had to take when that weather rolled in. So it's a very well planned program, just like many other programs that Scouting America has.
I love it. How many people were in your group?
So for my group, patrol anyways, if I remember correctly, it was about 8 or 9, and for the entire course, it was probably about 30, 40 scouts that participated. And the awesome thing about NAYLE and like NYL is you're going to have scouts from all kinds of backgrounds, whether that be they're a scout who just started out a couple of years ago, Sea Scout or Adventure Scout, who've been involved in scouting for a long time. And that's one of the things that I love about NAYLE is you get to meet people from all walks of life. They come from different councils across Scouting America. They come from different programs, or they've been in a lot of different programs. And it's awesome to come together and share your experiences with them and to make new experiences with them.
I love it. I love it. It's like a NOAC or a jamboree where everybody's coming together, except you guys are all coming together to learn leadership.
Exactly.
That advanced leadership. Now, Matthew, somebody's watching, and I know somebody's watching that's very hesitant or unsure. Were you unsure at any point?
Oh, for sure. And I mean, it was, if I remember correctly, in my timeline of scouting, this was probably my first big program that I attended. I had never, aside from Jamboree back in 2017, that was probably the first time that I had to come out of my shell, like I mentioned earlier, be in a group situation where I don't know anybody at all aside from myself and one other scout that came with me that I knew from an NYLT that I staffed with. It's, again, like at first it was very stressful and I was overthinking and I was just like, what if I don't know anybody? What if I don't meet anybody? What if I just have a bad experience? But as many of you know, you don't know until you try it. And that's what I kept telling myself. And that's really what pushed me over. And I stuck with it. And I was like, I'm going to do this because this is a unique opportunity. It only happens at 2 different places across Scouting America. And it only happens during the summer, so there's really no other time to do this. And I mean, I would say to those who are hesitating also, I had reservations at first about attending NAYLE. However, this is not something you get to experience every day. And whatever fear you may have, know you're not alone, and you're in the same boat as many others who will be attending as well. So just remind you that you're not alone. You're going to be in the same boat as many others who probably also have hesitations, but you're going to get there, and I promise you all those fears and anxieties are going to disappear.
There you go. Pep talk from Matthew. You're going to get there. You got this. I like it.
Yeah.
Yes. And then, so we've talked a lot about the adventure aspect. Obviously, there's some personal growth going on. Let's talk more about the leadership aspect. I'm assuming because everybody's coming from different places, there's a sense of camaraderie, a sense of teamwork that happens within our crews, our ships, our explorer posts. How does NAYLE foster that sense?
Well, like I've mentioned, the way NAYLE is structured, you cannot go through it alone. Whether you're the most extroverted or the most introverted scout, you will be paired with other scouts, and I can promise you, by the end of your time at NAYLE, you won't want to leave your team. Through the situations that you're put through the experiences and memories you make, and the bonding you have with other scouts, you will find either a new or renewed sense of camaraderie and teamwork.
I like it. As someone deeply involved in venturing in NAYLE, or at least you were, someone who's kind of went out into the real world, starting college, starting what adult leaders are like, having a life outside of scouting. Have you seen long-term benefits for you as a participant beyond your traditional scouting years?
Oh, for sure. And, that's a great question because, a lot of people struggle with how much time do I want to give in scouting? How much money do I want to put into scouting? And I tell people it's worth the money. It's worth the time. It's worth stressing over sometimes, but I promise you the experiences you gain through scouting are invaluable and you cannot find it anywhere else. As I've said, I truly believe that everyone who attends gains something by attending NAYLE. NAYLE isn't just meant for scout-specific situations. It truly offers a platform that allows all participants to come together and use what they've learned and apply to countless scenarios that you'll participate in during your week at NAYLE.
I love it. I love it. So as we're kind of like closing up, with the frequently asked questions that at least I've gotten asked by scouts in my unit that I'm like, I don't know, I need a subject matter expert here. The link to the NAYLE website, if nothing else, will be in the description of this video, so that anybody that's like, I want to sign up right now. There's the Philmont course and there's this Summit course. So West Virginia and New Mexico are the two places that the courses happen. Do you want to talk more about your experience and how that prepares you in your adult life?
Of course, yeah. So NAYLE, it prepares you for your future endeavors in whatever kind of field you want to go into, whether that's a lawyer, whether that's a paramedic, whether that's a first responder, doctor, what have you.
Right.
And it gives you a platform for all of its participants to use what they've learned previously in other trainings, and you put into practice through real situations. In addition to that, you have the opportunity to make friendships and memories that will last a lifetime, and you can go back on those friends. You can go back to those friends when you're facing a problem and ask them for their help or guidance on it. I know I've done that countless times since, and even recently I was talking with one of my other participants in my NAYLE course, who I now consider one of my best friends, and they were able to help me through a situation that I was facing back when I was transferring colleges. Again, it does more than just train you for Scout-specific situations. It also trains you for real-world scenarios, and I think that's what makes NAYLE a unique and arguably priceless experience.
There you go. Couldn't have said it better. Now we know that nails are not just the thing that keeps my summit project together.
There you go.
It is a leadership training experience that has been described as a hidden gem. Matthew, is there anything else you would like to tell our viewers before we say goodbye for now?
Well, I would like to wish all who are going to participate, I hope you guys have a great time and a great experience. If it's anything like I've said, make sure to share it when you're done. Go back to your unit, whether that's your crew, your ship, your troop, and just share the experiences you had, because other people want to do that as well. So I deeply encourage you to go back and share those experiences and encourage others to also attend. And for those who are kind of on the fence, I promise you're in this together with other scouts. You're not the only one, and you're going to get through it. It's not as intimidating as it might seem, and I promise that it will be a great experience. I
love it. And if you're a scout under the age of 14, you have something to look forward to.
There you go.
Go through NYLT, have a lot of fun there, and this summer and the next summer come back and do NAYLE. Do something that I wish I have done.
Right.
Right. Well, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your amazing experiences about NAYLE. Your insights are definitely truly inspiring. I know our listeners will take a lot from what you've shared. And to everyone listening, I hope this has had it inspired you to participate in NAYLE. Maybe your advisor that has a few youth in mind that you're like, oh, I should send XYZ person to NAYLE. So thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Venturing BSA podcast, Leading Our Adventures. If you would like to join a crew or ship or Scouts BSA unit, please go to bscout.org, enter in your zip code, and you'll be able to see all the units in your area. Or if you would like to, are considering starting a unit on those same platforms, the scouting website, there's a how-to guide on how to start one of our older youth program units. And it's getting to the end of the term for some of us, and just yesterday we dropped information about a transition document. That way the person taking your spot next year will know just as much as you have and can build on your experience. So don't be afraid. Go look at that. That's a great resource and opportunity. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next adventure. Until next time, stay adventurous and keep leading the way. Bye, everyone.